And welcome back to Celestial Assault. We are getting close to the end of day one here as our first team in the form of IQ has already qualified for day two. Now it's time to see which other teams do as well. Once again, I am EGP Wonder Chef, joined by James Jamerson Lee. And what do we got coming up for this next match?
Yeah, we've got Mafty versus Tekka Dynasty to see who will be facing off against IQ tomorrow in our winners finals.
Yeah, now this is another set of, I would say, familiar players on maybe an unfamiliar team. So Mafty, for anybody who isn't aware, and maybe has only watched these, it is a group of, I think, mainly two teams, I would say overall, which is the Powerpuff Girls team, which has done extremely well in previous tournaments, and Gundam Unicorn, who's also done very well. But a lot of these players, like for example, Casino, should be very familiar to a lot of you if you have watched these previous events. But if you did only get a chance to watch the pilot showdown that we just saw from the actual official Gundam Evo tournament, we saw them get, I believe, second place in the entire event. Of course, shout outs to our champions, Toto 1010 fans, which I'm also a Toto 1010 fan. So I always, of course, got to give the big shout outs to her. But so this team it's a combination of really great players that has done really well together. And I think that they might potentially be, I would say, like, maybe our favorite to win. However, it's so hard to say. I think we've got by far like the least predictable bracket that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, I mean, importantly though, for our Mafty Did Nothing Wrong squad, it's that the Powerpuff Girls team, when they were playing in our last two events, that this was, players that you can see improving throughout the tournaments and of course throughout the events. And so coming into basically for a lot of these players, their third event together, this is to be a huge power up, I expect, especially like this roster is absolutely insane. Profi, Arrow, David, Focus, Casino, and especially Casino in one of our most dominant Dom players when it came to our last few events.
Yeah, and we just saw a really strong Ashmar on the side of IQ, which is of course Mr. Big Large, which was the sunglasses we learned very late in the set. But Focus is another one of those extremely strong Ashmar players that we've seen in now multiple tournaments. And I mean, honestly, I feel like we can kind of go through that entire roster and just explain why they're just all so strong. But we can't. I feel like we just don't even have time for that. Hopefully, we can get into map picks and bans pretty soon. But on the other side, we do have, of course, a team that we are much more familiar with from today because we've already seen them on broadcast, which is going to be Tekka Dynasty. And they have, just for anybody who didn't get a chance to see their first set, that is a mostly changed Team Tekka that we've seen from previous events. They are two of the same players and four different players, but they are looking stronger potentially than they ever have been. We're going to see Quarry banned off first. That is a pretty rarely banned off map, but that doesn't mean we don't have we don't have zero chance of getting Colony Trading Post.
Yeah, there's still an opportunity. We'll see if that one gets picked up, but knowing that Mountain R&D, Thermal Plant, and Flag Forest still open, you have to expect that one of those three maps definitely. But for our next ban, I imagine maybe it's going to be like Harbor City if we're staying away from Quarry at this point. If we get to see Colony Trading Post, I would be absolutely ecstatic because like you and I both said, we love that map. It's spectacular to be able to actually, play a Gundam map on a side, like on a colony. And like you said yourself, I love the horizon. I love being able to look up. It's one of the most dynamic, one of the most enthralling maps so far, just for that skybox itself.
Yeah, you really feel like you're in a Gundam series. It's super sick, and I mentioned this earlier, but I just really want to see how people play on it. I know it's immediately going to get banned because that's what, now that we've talked about wanting it so much, they, the team just sense it and they immediately crush our dreams. But there are so many unique spots that I would really love to see how those teams play because I lose in ranked on there all the time. And I really want to see the actual strategies that my teams won't do anyway. But I mean, I have to assume that if you're going for the Quarry ban, either you're just not a fan of the destruction missions or you're trying to avoid levels maybe where like the jumping units are really strong. Of course, we've seen that from the Barbados and the Xtias and such so far on the multiple games we've seen of Quarry. And Mountain R&D Lab, that's another one where the verticality really matters a whole lot. So two strange kind of maps to see banned compared to what we usually see. Two of the most common maps that we see immediately banned off the gate. But again, that means a chance for Colony Trading Post. Chance.
Yeah, we have a 1 in 5 chance now to see Colony Trading Post. It might actually slip through. We'll find out in just a moment here. But For a domination map to go down, maybe, you know, whoever banned out Quarry might actually want to send this one on over to Thermal Plant if they so choose, if they get first map pick. And honestly, I'd be glad to see Thermal Plant as well. I mean, we've got a good representation of the different maps that played out. We've seen Black Fort so far today, Mountain R&D, and Quarry. So we just need to see Underground Command Center, Thermal Plant, and Colony Trading Post. Those are the 3 maps we have not seen on stream quite yet.
Yeah, and we almost saw Thermal Plant. If that wasn't a 2-0 in the previous set, we would have seen it. So at least we can at least hopefully see everything picked at some point. Underground Command Center, it's not a super uncommon map to end up seeing over the course of a broadcast. I don't think it's a super like polarizing map in any particular ways. So it tends to go like when people aren't really sure, I think, which area they want to go to, sometimes it just kind of falls through the cracks and ends up being the one. Harbor City, of course, we did get a chance to see a great match earlier on Harbor City. I'm always a fan of the Harbor City matches. But again, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what the strategies are. I totally agree with you that, you know, whoever banned out Mountain R&D Lab probably also doesn't want to play Thermal Plant. So maybe you consider that if that feels like that might be one of their weaknesses. But whoever banned out Quarry, I really don't know how you would particularly try to counter that. I'm excited to see. And also, of course, there's Flak Fort. You know, never can go wrong with Flak Fort. Those matches are always good.
Yeah, and Underground Command Center, I feel like just doesn't get enough love. We don't get to see it as often. I can understand why a lot of teams, you know, kind of want to shy away, especially for that first waypoint fight, along with that first plants on either A and B. We very rarely got to see the second half of that map because, well, we rarely get to see this map in overall. Right now, it looks like we are still going through the picks and bans. And so we're still waiting on the first pick of this match. Remember, this is going to be a best of 3, and it's Underground Command Center.
All right, you like willed that into happening. Yeah, it's true. We don't get to see this map all that much. In my eyes, it's almost like a mini Harbor City, right? The first point is a super long, potentially like sniper range points. Not necessarily you're going to see snipers, but it's definitely that far of a range. And then there's a big choke point to get a little bit further into it, and then from there we tend to see exactly what happens. But this is definitely an interesting first pick of a map. Not super common to see people go here at all, let alone first pick. So I get a feeling that these teams have some kind of unique strategies up their sleeves. I mean, we've seen Tekka Dynasty, of course, but we haven't seen Mafty. Team Mafty did nothing wrong on at least these broadcasts, and we haven't seen them since the previous, you know, official tournament from Gundam Evolution. So I don't know exactly what they've got. I don't know if they've got anything planned. I actually don't know if they have any roster changes. It looks like it's mostly the same. So I'm assuming there's none, but there might have been something slightly. So we'll see how it all goes. Also, of course, the Zakutu Melee ban still in effect, might change some of their strategies. But I don't know where we're going to go next.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, you know. Of course, first ban was Quarry, and our first pick was going to be Underground Command Center. So banning out a destruction map to go to a destruction map, maybe they just don't like Quarry in and of itself. It'd be funny if we ended up seeing Thermal Plant being picked up as second pick after second ban is Mountain R&D.
Oh no, yeah, that would certainly be weird. I mean, I could kind of see Quarry. You know, there's an advantage to having some extra verticality on your team in Quarry, where that doesn't matter as much in, for example, Flak Fort. Like, obviously, having vertical mobility is always strong in every single situation, but okay, we're going to Harbor City. So whoever banned Mountain R&D, I feel like really wants to go to the wide open maps, right? Doesn't want to be close. And whoever voted for to ban Quarry, I actually still don't quite understand their strategy, but we are now on some two pretty big maps. And come on, go Colony Trading Post last one. Just give us the feeling that we might see it.
Yeah, so it all comes down to the bans here. Flak Fort, Thermal Plant, Colony Trading Post. We'll see if Colony Trading Post finally makes it through the pick bans. Actually, would be our decider. But with Flak Fort and Thermal Plant, I mean, you feel like teams are just going to go for the comfort regardless. You know, either side can easily ban out Colony Trading Post and just keep either one of those open for ourselves. So I feel like the numbers are definitely in favor of something like Flak Fort instead. But right now, I'm really excited to see how Underground Command Center actually plays out as our first map pick. I mean, we do get to see a lot of, we're going to definitely see Jim Sniper when it comes out to Harbor City, but it doesn't have to be a 100% pick when it comes to Underground Command Center, because you do have to make that transition. Once you get that waypoint going into to try and get the Mega Charge plants, the offense probably not going to want to play that Gem Sniper as much. So that might just be a turn A map on Underground Command Center.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all turn A maps, but no, I agree with you. And also, even in that first point well, I guess I should say the first like kind of relay push that you get on Underground Command Center, there are for certain angles where you can push without ever even giving yourself that long of a sight line. So if you kind of try to sneak through the like tighter angles, then you could just try to death ball as well and not even worry about having those longer ranged options. I'm excited to see how they decide to go about it. Both those teams decide to go about it because, like you said, we don't get a chance to see that all that often. But clearly, there's a lot of thought being put into this pick ban. I think this is maybe the longest pick ban phase that we've ever had for any teams in any of these events.
So it's going to be with Flak 4 Thermal Plant and Colony Trade.
Think I may have lost your audio, unfortunately. I don't know if that's everybody. Sorry if I just interrupted you. And
no. It might have been me messing around with my Go XLR, unfortunately. But our next ban, it is going to be Flak Fort. So now it's a 50-50 toss-up between Thermal Plant and Colony Trading Post.
Yeah, so we have a chance. Honestly, regardless of which one of these it is, it's very interesting, right? We've seen neither of these maps before today. We saw Thermal Plant picked. We didn't see it actually gone to, but hey, Colony Trading Post actually as a decider. So now everybody in chat, we got to hope that this goes to a game 3 just so that we can see Colony Trading Post, just so that we can see these teams play it. But I got to say, overall, Underground Command Center, Harbor City, Colony Trading Post, that is a weird set of maps for these two teams to pick. And I'm really curious if any of them are in the chat. Just let me know why y'all pick these, or later maybe just send me a message. But I'm excited to see the set, and we are definitely going to have some wide open options on pretty much all of these for a few different points. But we've got the outdoor stages, and this should be pretty good.
Yeah, some of our least played maps so far coming in as our final 3 maps here for this set. So that's kind of, that's definitely 100% surprising overall for ourselves right now. We are just getting the lobby set up right now, and as soon as we do, we will get into our first match of the day. And I mean, what a way to start it. I mean, our first map for this set, and what a way to start it.
Yeah. I really have no idea what's going to go on here. Like I said, we've only seen one of these two teams on broadcast so far today, and this is a deciding match to see who gets into the winner's final spot, who gets into the top 3 spot. And just as a reminder, this is now part of the Pilot Academy program. So all of these players within for this size of a tournament, all of the teams within a top 8 spot are getting some points towards qualifying for that season final. And specifically, the top 3 spots get a lot of points. It's like a 30-point difference between like 4th to 3rd, and then another 30 points between 3rd to 2nd. And then I think it's like 25 from 2nd to 1st. So you really want to be within those top 3 spots. And if you get yourself into the winners finals, of course, that does, by the rule of the bracket, guarantee you into that top 3 at minimum. So getting those points is going to be absolutely huge. Of course, IQ already locked themselves into that spot, and only one of these other 2 can guarantee themselves, at least for now. And we are going to be playing, of course, into that top 3. We're going to see who the top 3 are before we close out the show today. So I believe we've got this match and then 2 more before we close out, and then we'll be, of course, back tomorrow for that. But this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one just to start off this season 2. It's a fresh start for a lot of these teams, a lot of these players, with the new series, the new season, and everything. So I feel like starting off strong out at the gate and being in the lead as far as points go early on is going to be huge.
Yeah, and again, like this entire event so far, I mean, we've only casted 3 matches. It's just been so surprising when it comes to map picks or team compositions or what dominant unit it's going to be. It's been just a huge box of surprise, and I absolutely loved it. So tomorrow, that's what I'm really excited for, because we get a taste today of what our teams have for us, and I feel like there's still a lot more to explore.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You've really seen the level of skill. I mean, obviously there were suits that, even though they've been nerfed, they were a little bit more straightforward. For example, I think Pale Rider is a good example, right? Like sure, you've got your heal, you've got your grenade, but overall you're just doing damage, right? You're just clicking on people, you're just clicking on their heads, and you're going to be that main DPS for your team, which that made a lot of sense. I think even early on in the game to a lot of people, but I think as time has gone on, even despite the nerfs and the buffs, I think some of these suits that, for example, like Turn A, that were maybe not as obvious. I talk about this a lot, how Turn A is one of the weirdest design kits that I've ever seen. It's a long range sniper that charges its shots and shoots through people, and the rest of its kit is around fighting close up and then healing yourself, and then its G maneuver is like a big AoE hit that you need to be somewhat close to them but above them. It's just all such a weird kit that I think that people weren't maybe quite as ready to use, for example, Turn A or Barbados, who, even though it's more straightforward, once people learned to counter it, it was considered pretty low tier for a very long time. I think people are just getting better with these more dedicated suits, and then the meta is just continuing to expand, which is dope. I love it.
Yeah, we're seeing actually the return of Sazabi as well, a little bit more prevalent so far. I mean, in our last event, it was almost like 90% Sazabi-less compositions, with teams really opting for a lot more damage forward compositions overall. And so I'm glad to see that we have representation in the tank line as well. Dom seems to be kind of like the staple. Dom is the one that we really haven't seen kind of fall out of favor whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. Despite anything, right? I mean, okay. So just to step back one little bit, I mean, I do of course see to a little bit more Sazabi because they tightened the shot spread, right? So it can be a little bit more useful offensively, even if it's not just being the tank. So I kind of get that, but yeah, Dom, no matter what, has been like the keystone of like every competitive team, right? It stops people from clumping up. It just does a ton of damage. It's super tanky, so it's able to deal with a lot of stuff. Of course, like you've been mentioned a few times earlier today, the fact that it now gets one tapped by a gym sniper for the headshot, that's pretty big change. But the fact that it was able to survive that earlier meant that it was really, really good on certain spots, like for example, Harbor City, which we will see in another game after this one. But still, it can survive a lot of harassment just by being there. It supports your team with the armor. It can set up the mines, which are a lot of times just extra damage that you need just to catch people or to punish them for running over to some health pack. So it does so much. And then of course the G maneuver, that's just so important to defend or attack. It's useful all the time. Like I feel like if you started off this game and you were like, oh, I love Dom, this is my character, you're in the best spot ever. And I think we actually have one of the most dedicated Dom players coming up in this next match, which is Casino.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say me, but no, definitely. I mean, Dom was my day one ride or die. Absolutely loving him, and it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. We get to see, just the immense pressure that Dom can put on teams, and the different ways that you can play. You can play it anti-dive as well. It's just it's one of the best support units so far. Doesn't even feel like a support unit because you're just dishing out so much damage, having that huge AoE up against clumpers, but also being able to take your 1v1 duels up against any backliner. It's just absolutely absurd. Now, it's not always, in the spotlight, but the possibility is there. And it looks like we are finally ready for map number 1 of this set.
All right, I'm excited. And yeah, also on top of that, everything Dom does is really cool. I just got to point that out, It's really good at everything, and it's also really fun to watch be good at everything. When people land, I mean, for example, we saw Casino snipe a flying Ashimar out of the air with rockets when he didn't even need to because he had his right click up, his laser up. That's just like one of the hypest things in the world. Or seeing the great Screaming Nimbuses, you're just like, okay, this is sick. But let's look at these comps. We are actually going to see potentially an RX-78 if that's not switched off on the side of Mafty, and then on the other side we are of course going to see Gasman on that Gym Sniper. That is a pick that actually we've seen some teams just not even go for on this, but I love to see it.
Yeah, Gasman, of course, can swap off on to that Barbados, which we got to see earlier on, but it's going to be Gasman starting it off with that Gym Sniper, not really connecting with these shots quite yet. He's getting challenged now. A lot of these rockets coming extremely close from that Dom. You can see why. Oh my goodness. Focus comes in to finish him off, and that's going to be the early pick off for Mafty. Did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about focus earlier, and we've got Enders as well. We've got Profi. We've got, oh my gosh, this is such an all-star team. I mean, I mentioned this earlier. We gotta say that this is the favorite to win the tournament, even though it's less, or it's more contested than it's ever been. I gotta find a better word for that. But I mean, look, we've got other all-stars like Nox on the other side here as well. It's not able to find any sort of defensive positioning, though. That's the big issue. They've been pushed back so far, and already we're seeing that mega charge go down.
Yeah, it's down on 8 point here, and Hawklight is going to try his best to try and stem the bleeding, but no, Casino ends up taking him out, coming out with the flank there, and it looks like it's all she wrote here on point A, and so we should be seeing the second point in just a moment. But Casino, it's, of course, one of our best Dom players, and he is winning out on those duels. For Tekka Dynasty, though, they're going to try and retake here from that high ground now. They have to first initially deal with all the setup coming out from Mafty. Did something wrong, and Focus finds that first knock. Gasman making that swap on over to Barbados. And now they're down to 24 seconds to try and get this defuse.
Oh, this is such a great defensive spot to hold. All right, Nox tries to get a little bit of pressure, gets a good amount of damage, but not quite able to close anything out. But I love how safe this hold is from the side of Team Mafty. And look at that. Oh, yeah, that is going to be it for sure. Gasman, the only one alive, and they actually have eyes on him as well. So this is going to immediately be going over to the second point. Let's see how quickly they can reposition. But so far, this has looked dominant.
A nice stagger onto Gasman there as well on that Barbados, and so he will be sent to that long spawn back. That's going to give them a 6v5. Never mind, it's the 6v3 as Profi and Casino find 2 more, making their way on over. Do they go straight for the points? No, they will go ahead and divert themselves on over, get that waypoint up, and now start making their way on in. Will they try and go for the high ground or for the low? Looks like they're spreading their forces, and this is something similar to that first point. We have the Screaming Nimbus coming out for Casino, but he only finds 1 here, and that's gonna be Gasman on the Barbados once more. Nox has found 2 picks for himself, but Gasman will go down, and Casino beelines it straight for the point to try and get the Mega Charge down, but he's getting challenged, and Fester is there, but not for long, as Casino is able to make short work of him, and now David goes up to the high ground to make sure that the respawns don't come in to interrupt.
Sheesh, this is so strong on the side of Mafty so far. This has just been unbelievable. We gotta see Team Tekka Dynasty get a regroup here and just kind of say like, okay, hold on. We've got a little bit of time. We've got like 1 really good push in us, maybe 2. We just gotta think about what we're doing here and stop getting overwhelmed. But unfortunately, Gasman going down without getting the pick is going to just add to that potential fuel here for this quick victory. And we're gonna see just another going down, a robot going down, Hawklight going down. Dark Fester is very, very low, manages to escape at least. Enders, of course, just sitting on that Hades and just so beautifully defending this. I don't know if they're gonna have a chance to get this back.
It's been such a huge snowball that on the other side, for Tekka Dynasty, they haven't been able to work up towards their G maneuvers. Hawklight just got his, but he will go down, and Azor does have his funnels ready along with the energy cable, but no, there's no defense whatsoever coming out from Tekka Dynasty. That's going to be Mafty just snowballing through to the second point and getting it with plenty of time left on the board.
Yeah, that was basically a 1 non-stop push from the very first spawn of the game all the way to the very final point of the game. That was extremely strong from Team Mafty. And honestly, they just have to deal with, or I should say Team Tekka Dynasty has to deal with the fact that that was essentially a death ball. You know, I mean, it wasn't that they were necessarily like planning on being a death ball, but they just ended up being a death ball. It didn't seem like they had like a particular like unicorn strategy or anything like that. And it was just so hard to actually shut them down. But I think it all really started off with that pick. I mean, usually when one team has a sniper and the other one doesn't, it's usually a rush that ends up taking them out, but not the sniper getting picked from its sniping position. That's just wild.
I'm wondering if that's actually real. Gasman with only 800 damage. I feel like that can't be. That cannot be. Even though he did get staggered a number of times, making that swap off onto the Barbados, that Jim sniper really didn't get much value on their defensive hold. He was the first one to get picked off. But here on the offense, he might have a little bit more space to work with. But overall, I mean, it was just a huge, huge snowball coming out from Mafty, Team Mafty. You can see that in the damage charts, they basically doubled the damage of TKD overall.
And I have to point this out, David actually didn't die that entire game. Everybody else died 1 time, at least on the team, but David went completely Unkilled. That is extremely impressive. This is one hell of a team. That's all I can say. But here we go. We've got a chance on offense to at least bring this back, take us into overtime, and we're still going to start with Gasman on the sniper, which I think makes more sense offensively here than potentially defensively.
Yeah, because you have the option, of course, to just run back to spawn and swap if you want to on that gym sniper. But you can see it's a 4-man hold here on that high ground now. Robot, along with the Sora, is going to challenge, but you can see the early peel back coming out from Team Mafty. And so they're just playing the sidelines now. They're just going to go ahead and back away and allow them to waste time up there. They do have the health pack at the very least, get topped off and go back on in, but you can see a much better defense coming out so far from Mafty here, as now they're finally challenging for the waypoint.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I love that peel back though. I mean, you know, saying like, okay, you know what? This isn't the safest spot. We're not going to get wiped here. Let's just play safer. And now they're both playing on the side of this corner, really, of the waypoint. It's a very strange little angle, especially with the height differences of the fact that this relay is like on a hill. But here we go. Oh, huge hit on Profi in the back. And already we're going to see some more deaths here. Nox just barely escaping, 78 HP. No close health packs around, though, and no real heals until we see a robot get a little bit closer. But that was a great push. The relay is getting taken. And with how that last offense worked, I did not think that Team Tekka Dynasty was going to take that relay quite so easily, but this is a great turnaround from them.
Ooh, Focus gets out of there with 200 HP, does have the health pack, but he's now getting challenged by Sazabi, and he wishes he didn't charge forward there, but he does have the backup of his Methus as well. You can see the turret doing some work. Profi has fallen, but Enders does trade away, getting rid of Gasman. You have to imagine now that we are going into the corridors here. He's going to want to go ahead and swap off, maybe play off that Barbados, go for that double brawler with Nox here. We'll find out in just a moment. They do have the waypoint to play off of at the very least, but they got to make sure they don't lose it. They got to make sure Nox does not go down, and he does make it back to the health pack. And yeah, indeed, Gasman does swap off onto that Barbados.
Yeah, Nox's slipperiness has been so good, but oh, Focus just barely getting clipped, falling down to a little bit of a safer spot, but it's not going to be that safe as long as Dark Infestor is sitting up on that cliff. And I like pushing around this side. This is a really, really strong strategy if your team is ready for it. But now it looks like the defense is actually getting a little bit split up. We're going to see 3 players from the side of Tekka Dynasty pushing the top side, and 3 on the bottom. So it's actually literally just an exact split with Dark Infestor kind of flexing.
The difference here, though, for the defense is that they actually have some G maneuvers up, and so they will have that Ashmar punch, so you got to be careful on the TKD side. Never mind, they don't even need it here, as they just clean this one up dry, and so they'll have it on this retake. Ashmar punch in to get to the back line. Robot is a little bit vulnerable, but he does have the peel. David is here now with the funnels as well, cleaning up 2. Hawklight and Dark Infestor down. Casino now coming in with the rally, and they will be able to get the disarm on that mega charge. Nox falling finally, and now TKD are down to 1:40, and they just have to start off once again by getting that mega charge down.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to see Team Mafty get that relay back. That is a really hard one to retake. It's a little bit far away. If you're going to end up getting a team wipe, you have to get like a really full team wipe. But they're holding pretty well. Enders, though, going down. That's going to be a huge chance here for Team TKD. And oh, look at that. They're all in that little hallway. Nox is at full HP. Nox could get a chunk off of every single person on that team. But will this... Oh, yeah, the G maneuver going down immediately. Very nice from Dark Infestor, just barely getting it down before going down himself and then managing to heal up.
He still has that Hades pop in, but he will go down. Devotion getting the res onto Casino. Now the defense are really ready to rally back. They've got the 4v2 advantage. Nox tries to go in with that stun, but you can see how quickly they deal with it here. Focus finding one more, and that is another disarm on the mega charge. And now there's only 45 seconds remaining here for TKD, and they have to get the plant once more.
Oh, and on top of that, Hawklight going down, getting staggered. Really, really hardcore right there. And, you know, that's not the first time we've seen that. I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it's Dom with that level of survivability, but Hawklight has gone down after the team significantly several times. But we are going to have at least one more group up here. The problem is Hawklight is going to be a little bit late to the party if they want to push quickly. And again, you can't just step in the zone. This is destruction. You have to start that plant with 15 seconds left now.
David has his funnels up. That's going to be 3 coming on in for the Mafty squad. Now they should be able to clean up the rest. And as time ticks away, no one's even close to try and get that mega charge down. That's going to be Team Mafty taking our first map.
And I would say taking it pretty convincingly. I mean, that was honestly a great offensive I guess like showing from Team Tekka Dynasty, but in the end, it just wasn't quite enough. They managed to get some picks, even, you know, they took the relay quickly. They got some picks closer to point A, but then every single time we saw Team Mafty end up getting the chance to fight back, get a near team wipe to reverse it and get that disarm. So, I mean, they are just looking so consistent. We've had really close matches over today, but it feels like this was maybe the most one-sided, and that's not to say that it was bad play at all from Team Tech Dynasty. It's just that Team Mafty is looking ridiculous.
Yeah, for Mafty, it's a combination of both their team play and also just their individual plays. When it came down to a lot of the duels, it was Mafty winning out their 1v1s wherever that fight was taking place. I would say possibly the one person that was kind of struggling a little bit was Enders on that Pale Rider, because right now it feels like a lot of the focus is being taken off the Pale Rider. You're not putting as many resources into peeling for the Pale Rider. You're allowing the rest of the team to actually kind of play not around the Pale Rider anymore and kind of opening it up for those individual duels. And of course, you're going to be able to do that with a composition, with a team like this. Profi, Focus, everyone, basically just a star-studded roster on this Team Mafty side.
Yeah, of course, Pale Rider is still very strong, but it did get hit with some damage nerfs. It got hit with a healing nerf with its own, you know, healing station. It got some overall toning down. You know, I believe Hades, the charge on it was slower. I don't remember. There were so many changes, but overall some toning down. So it's still a very, very important, you know, type of shot, I suppose. You know, just have that like kind of like normal machine gun fire, hit scan, can track airborne opponents, can track, you know, quickly moving opponents. It's really important to have that on your team. Hades is still one of the strongest G maneuvers in the entire game if your player is actually ridiculous with aim, which, you know, for example, like Anders is great at aiming. But if yeah, it's not the everybody just play protection around the Pale Rider as it potentially solos an entire team, as we have seen for sure in points before. I mean, okay, that's an exaggeration, but it's, you know, it was kind of the core of every single team for a while.
Yeah, no, it really was protect your Pale Rider, right? It was protect the president, protect the VIP, but it's no longer that case. It seems like we said, teams are focusing less on the Pale Rider as their hard carry. It's, hey, we try to enable it, and if it doesn't work, well, we have a lot of other carries that we can really utilize, especially when you have someone like Casino on that Dom. He was putting in work. Focus as well on that Ashmar was doing an amazing job. And so right now, it's about every player basically on this roster kind of just being able to show off how strong they are. Like you said, it was good team play coming out from either side, but overall, I think it was the difference maker when it came down to the individual plays for our Mafty squad. Now going into round number 2, I believe we're going to Mountain R&D, or is it Thermal Plant for a second map?
We're going to Harbor City, I believe.
Harbor City. Whoops, never mind.
Yeah, all the weird maps, yeah, we're going to Harbor City, and I have to unbiasedly root for Team Tekka Dynasty here because I really want to see us go to the third map and get to calling trading posts. But from what we saw in that last game, that is going to be definitely a very hard ask. We did see them, of course. We saw Team Tekka Dynasty actually play on this map earlier today, so we know that they're at least a little bit warmed up on it. But yeah, they've got to really think about what their entire strategy is here. And of course, we did see Gasman on the Gym Sniper, and 2 times it didn't really exactly work out. But like I mentioned earlier, it can be a kind of questionable like pick based on how you're choosing to push and how they're choosing to defend on that first point in that last map. Now, of course, I do really like seeing the Gym Sniper, but in this map in Harbor City, it is a 100% pick. Like, you know, it's going to work. You know, it's going to be like an effective pick for realistically both sides. So hopefully Gasman gets some more opportunities to kind of pop off, because it did seem like he had some unfortunate situations in the last game.
Right there, for sure, on Underground Command Center, it's a completely different ask, right? When you go over to Harbor City, point A, you have a lot more fallback options. But when it comes to falling back there on Underground Command Center, really it's just you give up the high ground and then you play way far back, and then you don't have as many retreating options that give you sight lines to continue to fight. But he was the first one that end up going down. You saw that when it came down to the other side for Team Mafty, they decided to not put so much focus onto that high ground. They gave it up. They didn't make the same mistake that Gasman did, staying way too long up there on that high ground, gave it up. and then played around that. When it came to fighting over the waypoint as well, they weren't going into the sight lines of where the GM sniper would play as well. So it was coming down to the really strong defensive play for Team Mafty there. But here, it is a completely different beast. When it comes to Harbor City, you have so many more angles that you have to be worried about. The retreats, you're still leaving yourself vulnerable, even though there are a lot of buildings around. But this is definitely one of those maps where you can stick on to that gym sniper for a little bit longer.
Yeah, sometimes we've seen them, stick on that gym sniper for a really long time. Even through point B, we've seen a few teams, but at the very minimum, through point A, yeah, I agree. We're going to see that for sure. And also, we did see some Barbados working pretty well on this map earlier, which we also know Gasman can do. So we could see the switch from those two based on just being from point A to B, which is a very flexible thing to have. Also, I don't know what kind of player plays Barbados and gym sniper. That's those are zero connecting skill sets, but it's impressive to see when you're playing at a high level like that. But on the other side, of course, I've expected we're not going to see anything super different from the side of Team Mafty. We did before, I think, see... I could be misremembering this. It's been a long time, and I can't remember what happened last week. But I think 2 events ago, we saw Casino switch to a turn A for a while on the first point of Harbor City. I could be totally wrong on that, but I think that might have been a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And turn A is another one that we haven't really seen a whole lot of this set, and I think we might see it come out this particular map.
Yeah, again, surprisingly enough, I feel like you definitely. I would play turn A when it comes to Underground Command Center, and I was surprised that we didn't get to see that at all. But I can understand why teams don't want to go double sniper if they are starting things off with Jim. But when it does come down to, I think Harbor City, it's just you can't understate the strength of that butterfly when it comes down to it. Of course, the overall kit is great. The long range option being that second sniper, but being able to crack open that initial that second choke point after you capture point A, it is so strong.
It is funny because it feels like the initial choke point, It feels like that's when the map starts, right? Like, you're like, okay, we're through point A, but now it's time for the actual game to start here. Oh, wait, the ordering is different. This keeps happening to us. This one's a pleasant surprise, though. We're actually going to see a map that I've never seen good players play on this map, and that is... exciting. In a way, it's a good thing, right? Obviously, I don't think, any of us watching are going to have that many super strong opinions on the correct ways to play this map. So I think that a lot of us are going to learn right now, which is what I'm here to do. I'm here to see how these players play. And I got to say, Enders and Nox both starting on Gym Sniper. Oh, no, wait. Oh, that wasn't. Yeah. Oh,
it's still Harbor City. It's still Harbor City.
Tricked. I've never even seen that spot. Oh, I got so tricked.
And you can see this is going to be the neutral initial engagement coming out. It is Team Tekka Dynasty starting off on the offensive side, but Nox has not been able to find an opening quite yet. You can see both teams playing around the buildings quite well. David has taken a lot of damage, but Nox himself is down basically to one shot, and Enders will go ahead and end his life, taking out 2 there with Casino, taking out Asor. That's going to be a 3-man. So a nice defensive hold so far coming out from Team Mafty.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Anders immediately popping off with 2 shots. I'm still super embarrassed that I was totally tricked into thinking this was in Harbor City. But here we go. Casino just barely escaping again, but Gasman going down, and that has just been 100% picks on the on the defensive side. And once again, Enders really popping off on this sniper.
Yeah, you can see though, focus now here on the high ground, taking a lot of focus away from the ground there, allowing Profi to find that opening. But the double sniper composition coming out here for Team Mafty is so strong. Enders and Profi. Now Nox ends up winning out on that duel, and that's the instant finish as well, so that he will not be coming back here. You can see now Asor will try and charge forward, but he has to be careful. He gets stunned up by the axe. David cleans him up, and now this brings it down to a 5v5, and there's a huge opportunity here for Team Mafty actually to regroup as a 6-man.
Yeah, this is, it's been a really strong hold, but now they're actually a little bit further back. I wonder if we can see them get all the angles that they really want to get, although this push might actually be kind of a bad thing for the offense. They are currently a little bit staggered. If we don't see every single person get there before this kind of ends up as like a team fight, it could end up being like 6v3, then 6v3, 64, then 6v2, something like that. But we are going to see a great push here. Nox getting a lot of picks. Enders almost getting picked off there. Actually really does. We just barely missed that shot, and so that is going to be a great push, and that's going to be a little bit of the stagger to run back. So I assume that now Team Mafty are not even going to challenge back for point A, and they're just going to try to hold this choke point.
Yeah, you can see Nox actually pushes forward to be able to try and maybe get an angle on the players that are coming in for the respawn. Nox actually goes straight back over to spawn, and we'll go ahead and swap on over. He's going straight onto that Ashmar. Quick compositional change coming out from TKD as Hawklight finds a huge pickoff onto David.
Yeah, this is something you really got to take advantage of here, but Nox is so low. We actually see Nox switching over from the Gym Sniper onto the Ashmar, but Hawklight and Robot and Ass are all going down. That punch was huge. A great angled one, doing damage to so many people. Gasman looks like he's going to get picked. Nox just barely escaping with the virtue of having that flight, but that is going to be a huge pushback, and we're going to see a very offensive hold now from the side of Team Mafty, as we even see Focus kind of holding from above the wall.
Yeah, Nox has to be careful. He is low. He needs some heals. He does have the methods to try and top them all off, but you can see that on the defensive side for Team Mafty, they are trying to play this one not immediately in the choke. They're just ready to respond to a push. You can see the funnels already here for David as well. They're just backing away, maybe hoping that someone overextends for themselves, but this is just eating into their time right now. Focus finds that knock onto Nox. We'll see if they can finish him off, but it looks like they'll allow him to get that res. It's all about just delaying here. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left.
Oh.
Screaming Nimbus coming in from Hawklight here, but it doesn't get that much value. He is a little bit disjointed from the rest of his squad. Now they're charging forward. Profi tries to go for that overhead throw, but he will go down. It's going to be David, though, finding one more as Enders gets that nade in to take out Hawklight. And what a beautiful hold coming out from our defense.
Yeah, and so almost getting that health pack just to barely stay up, but same thing with the robot. Both of them just not quite getting what they wanted out of that little cave there, the little sneaky hidey hole, and they both get picked off in kind of a staggered way. Look at this. Now we got to wait for them to get back to this original choke point. Focus still holding that amazing spot. Oh, the grenade. Nice little peak grenade from Enders, who's now switched off, of course, the Gym Sniper as well, to take out the other side's Pale Rider. And now once again, they've got to wait a little bit of time before they go for this full push.
This is a minute 30. This is two fights that Mafty can just win with one G maneuver. They've got the punch along with that butterfly at the ready. Focus taking the 1v1 in the back line, but never mind, it's a 2v1 as Nox is getting challenged now. He will fall, and that is a huge stagger. A minute and 13 seconds remaining. Focus actually gets taken out by a robot, but he gives his life for it, and I don't know if that was actually worth.
That was, we saw all four flyers just playing the flyer plus flyer mirror match right there. That was pretty interesting to see, but in the end, it does look like we're going to see Team Mafty hold. They are backing up a little bit though, so maybe that brawl in the background did manage to at least get them out of that choke point, and we're going to see Casino now get back up, but here we go, the butterfly coming out. How many picks? 3 picks so far from Profi, at least falling down, and that is going to once again reset into that choke point. Only one potential push left, I think, here from the side of Tekka Dynasty.
And that's just beautiful G maneuver management, right? All they extend, I believe, is the energy cable along with that butterfly. And so now they've got the Ashmar punch along with the Hades to close things out. And they still have to make it through this choke point once again, take it to the skies. There's the Ashmar punch. And oh no, Nox ends up going down to his own nade. Enders hasn't even popped the Hades quite yet. Casino utilizes that Screaming Nimbus. Enders falls back just to try and deal with this back liner here. It's going to be the Barbados coming on in. And now a robot is going to try and desperately touch this point, but Gasman ends up going down, and it's going to be a robot falling next. No progress made whatsoever here on point B for Team Tekka Dynasty. And it's Mafty once again with another dominant hold.
Yeah, I love how we're starting to see the butterfly G maneuver become almost like a screaming Nimbus in strategy, right? Like it's almost like the counter push. Like as soon as they pop G maneuvers, you're like, I'm gonna get above your G maneuvers and I'm gonna kill you for trying that. You know, you need to commit now into my G maneuver, and that's just not gonna work out for you. But oh my gosh, Casino leading the pack with damage with 24k and Focus, the two suits that we don't usually expect to be absolutely top of the damage, but that is as expected, impressive. And you know, look at this, no Pale Rider for a little bit again, as of course with Enders switching back to the Gym Sniper. But this is going to be, wait, we might see no Gym Sniper from the side of Tekka Dynasty, possibly.
It's possible. I mean, we'll see. Enders has his option, of course, if he wants to go ahead and play that. It does look like he will actually pick that one up, and
Oh,
it's going to be Gasman, of course, trying to
yeah,
counter
yep.
snipe. But overall, I believe Enders was winning out on most of the duels. Nox actually was, I believe, their initial gym sniper for Tekka Dynasty, and so I'm kind of surprised. I understand that players have depth to their mobile suit pool, but I guess he's just not feeling confident, even though ultimately he did get that first pick. I believe it was that headshot coming out from the gym sniper onto Casino. We're seeing the nerf coming into play up against Dom Sniper in that matchup.
Yeah, I'm also surprised that we're not going to see Barbados in this first corner. That can be a spot that it can be a little bit nasty, but I also do understand for sure wanting to have that like flame grenade that can be just a 5-man, 6-man hit here out this corner if you catch them at the right timing. Right now, though, we've seen a pretty solid push here from the side of Team Mafty. No picks on either side. If we do manage to see at least one sniper pick, that will be huge. Casino just sliding back and forth, not taking the shots. A little bit scary now with the health nerf.
Yeah, Casino does have to be a little bit careful, but they're doing a great job of just playing around the sight lines. You can see, but they haven't spotted Gasman quite yet, but now they know what is up. They know where that sniper is, and they have called that one out. Enders taking some flame damage here, but again, it's all going to come down to who gets the first pick, and Enders is playing this one very cautiously. Still, though, they're actually buying a lot of space for him, and they've backed them up without finding a pick quite yet. There it is. Profi getting the first one. That's the zombie down. That's the tank gone, and that's going to be the go button, but they have the answer on the other side. Gasman finds one. David answers back as they try and push him into the back line, but David will fall. Nox picks him up.
Yeah, that pickup right there is huge, and that's going to give a really good chance on defense. It looked like that could have turned into a weird little brawl, but wait, what was that? Are we not seeing the scope for some reason? Yo, that was a cool bug. That was a cool little bug. I've never seen that before in my life, but it looks like Gasman did end up going down. Enders just showing to be just such a great left clicker. I say that as the biggest compliment ever. It is hard to left click, but Enders great at it, of course.
Oh, Profi's got to be careful. Devotion is here to back him up, and he's got the nano skin as well to top himself off. Nox is getting a lot of damage right now with the Ashmar, and his punch is coming up. They've got to be careful not to group on the other side for Team Mafty as a Soar actually buys a little space for Enders. He gets that knock onto Hoglite. Nox will be the next one to fall. And they do at least get that res, that long-range res that you do have with the Gym Sniper, but it's not going to be enough. As the remaining members of Tekka Dynasty end up falling, Gasman will go down. And that is going to be point A being cracked wide open by Team Mafty.
Yeah, we're already seeing actually the push pretty heavily here. At least Casino's going to try and challenge this. It looked like there was some more following up, but they decided to back up a little bit. Maybe they didn't want to go quite so hard for this initial push. The mines are in place, and it looks like we're going to see probably some G maneuvers here. We've got about half the G maneuvers up in the entire game, and there's going to be a lot more pretty soon.
Yeah, Gasman has swapped off onto that Barbados once again, but the wall hacks are here for Enders, which is what I was surprised about on the initial offensive side for Tekka Dynasty. But oh no, the butterfly comes in. They somehow back away and survive, but you do have the Hades being utilized here. Profi ends up finding one more onto a robot, but Dark Infestor there with the Hades to finish him off. It's a 2-for-2 exchange as they have not made it to the point quite yet. Dark Infestor actually came out of that animation a little bit late, but he somehow still stays alive. Never mind, he'll fall as Casino picks him up. The Zabi will try and res him, but no, the rest of the team are here to clean that one up. Gasman tries to back away. Now they are on point. They only need one tick. Someone needs to touch it here as Hawklight tries to go in. He gives his life for it, but it looks like Team Mafty will be able to get the clean 2-0, moving on to fight against IQ tomorrow in our winners finals.
Oof, I am really excited for that. That sounds like that's going to be an amazing match. I wish we could do that today. Let's just run it all today. But no, I mean, great stuff. Honestly, holding A for so long on the side of Team Tekka Dynasty, that was really impressive, considering just how dominant so far we've seen Team Mafty be. But they really held. They held extremely well. There were a lot of situations where it turned into these smaller brawls, and they had managed to pull back together and retake and regroup, and everything was looking really good for them. But it just unfortunately didn't quite work out for them in the end. I think they were holding, you know, even point B decently well, but the fact that they just never were able to get their moments on the offense meant that they had zero leeway, right? They couldn't like give up a tick, give up 2 ticks. They just had to like give up nothing. And when you're playing against a team like Team Mafty, giving up nothing for the entire time of the match is just a little bit too hard, I think. So that does mean, of course, that we are set for our 2 teams in winners finals. And it does not mean that that is the end of Team Tekka Dynasty. They are, of course, still going to be moving down, as this is double elimination, and they have a chance, a very good chance, I would say, to make it back into the top 30.
Yeah, again, this is double elimination, so nothing is over quite yet. We have seen some amazing lower bracket runs from teams in the past, so don't count anyone out quite yet. And but this upper bracket final, IQ versus Team Mafty did nothing wrong. I mean, that's going to be an explosive winners finals that'll take place tomorrow.
Yeah, I have like zero idea how that's going to go. Both teams looking ridiculous. Both teams have shown honestly, some pretty similar strengths in their own way. But we just haven't had a chance to see 2 teams like that really get a chance to go up against each other, I think. Unless they did in the big official tournament, and I just totally missed it. But I did unfortunately have to work that day. But we'll see how it goes this time around. I think that is going to be an absolute banger of a match. And like you said, that's happening tomorrow. But we're going to have 2 more matches today. We're going to go through the losers quarterfinals. We're going to go through 1 more of those matches. And then we're going to go into the losers semifinals so that we can see who will be guaranteed into that top 3 spot for all those extra points in the Pilot Academy and who will be guaranteed for tomorrow. So don't go anywhere, because we got one of our final 2 matches of the day coming up right after this.